Welcome to the CEO series. This is a mini series of episodes within the ACE audio podcast where we chat to leaders, business owners, and entrepreneurs to help our listeners learn the valuable lessons and insights that our guests have used to chart their own success stories. Enjoy. Hello and welcome to this episode. Shaun Brewster here, joined by two guests. One you've probably seen before, Mr. Brad Hiskins, and we also have Renee Hiskins as well joining us. As part of this series, we're going to be interviewing different leaders in business, different entrepreneurs, people who have started and grown businesses. And Brad and Renee are kind of unique in that they are a husband and wife couple operating not one, but two businesses, managing to juggle it, managing to do it very, very well. They're good friends of ACE, and I'm very pleased to have you both on here today. So thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Shaun.
Thanks, Shaun.
So to get started, maybe I'll let you both introduce yourselves in a little bit more detail, tell the audience how you came into doing what you're doing now, the businesses that you're running, and maybe your roles within those businesses. Who'd like to go first?
So I was heavy into sport. I would have made it, but I wasn't good enough. So I snuck into the AIS through the back door by treating people. And that's where my career started. So I spent 11 years there. Had a great opportunity to go to a few Olympics, lots of world champs, travel the world, and all that incredibly sexy stuff that only a few people get to do. So that's not lost on me. I'm incredibly fortunate, right place at the right time. In the end, it was a government job, and that started to get to me. I'm not much of a government job sort of a person for the bureaucracy and so on, but also they tend to put you in a box. I'm not good in a box. So it was time to go. So I saw the opportunity in Canberra to take what I'd learned at the Institute, plus also the protocols that they had at the Institute treating athletes. And it just wasn't really being done from what I could see in the local community. So I thought, well, let's go. Let's take those protocols, let's take that philosophy and start the business. So my background was heavy in sport, love working with the body. And that's where it all started, mate. That's my background.
Right. So for the audience who don't know your practice, before we get to Renee, tell us a little bit about Clinic 88.
Oh, tell us a little bit about Clinic 88. So Clinic 88, where do I start? So when we first started it was myself and three others. So it was just us, but I invited people. I said, look, this is what I'm doing. Would you like to come on and start with us in a casual sense? And those people I'd mentored before, so they came on in a very casual sense, and we started from there. And we were very, very heavy into sport. We all had areas in sport that we had dealt with for a long period of time. So that's where the clinic started. And then it's been 20 years, mate. So
yep.
It's evolved. We've now got 4 clinics. 30 plus employees. We've still got the same philosophy in that we've got manual therapy into exercise therapy. So we've got a combination of soft tissue therapy, exercise physiology, Pilates, and EP. So different forms of exercise to match the patient that's coming in. So depending on what they present with. So that's Clinic 88 in a nutshell. I mean,
fantastic.
You can ask more questions.
I think anyone would agree that 4 locations, 30 plus staff, and multiple modalities on the go at any one time is a big concern to manage. So well done to you both. Renee, where did you fit into the business picture in this dynamic duo?
Well, when we started Clinic 88, I had 2 young children at home. So I sort of just took on the roles that I could while I was at home. And started doing the bookkeeping and fitting out the clinics and buying the furniture and doing all those other bits and pieces. While Brad was trying to drum up clients and work with the staff, I was sort of more behind the scenes, and probably still am now. Not being a therapist myself, I've found other roles in the clinic that I can do, because I really wanted Brad and I work really well together. And I wanted to find other jobs I could do and work alongside him in the business. So that's worked really well. So from fitting out clinics, doing all of the creative stuff, doing the marketing, and then also making massage lubricant, which has turned into a whole nother business called MWax. That's also how that business has evolved and works alongside Clinic 88 really well. So
And Renee's done all that work that no one ever sees and cares about. There's things like breaking records for being on the phone for Telstra for 2 straight days. And if you don't believe us, we've got the records for it. It's the internet's gone down. Could you please drop everything you're doing, including our 3 kids, and please try to figure out why the internet's not working? And it's just those arduous hours and hours and hours and hours of work and being on the phone and so on that the dryer broke. We need a dryer quickly. Run down to Bingley and quickly grab a new dryer. It's all that sort of stuff that as a therapist, if you're by yourself, you can't do. So Renee has done an enormous amount of, I appreciate it, but we don't tell the staff because, if the staff go, please appreciate my wife, then they go, whatever. So we just,
No.
you just get it done. You just get it done.
Yeah, so
nice.
we're a good routine. We're a good team in that respect, and that So as Brad's working busy in the clinic with teaching staff or working on clients, you need someone to jump in and try and fix the high caps machine, or the Telstra goes down. There's just a million bits and pieces that need to be done behind the scenes, and I really enjoy that. So I've just evolved into that role. It's flexible with the children, and it works well. So.
Now, I've been really looking forward to this conversation because from a personal and selfish point of view, I also have one of these relationships / business / home life scenarios where my wife is also part of the business that I run and does a lot of those things that the audience or the wider public don't see, the things that go on in the background that wouldn't are more valuable to the business than people realize, and just like you've been describing here. So I can certainly appreciate the value of the things that Renee's done in the lead up to this point and continues to do, maybe even in a more public facing way. Now I'm seeing Renee very much as the public face of MWAX, your other brand that you guys run, which is great to see. You're both kind of evolving and have evolved over time in your various roles and capacities. I'm interested to know, you guys have been together a very long time, no doubt. You were together when the business started, was that right? When Clinic 88 kicked off, and obviously MWAX was a child of the Clinic 88 machine over time. Was business always a component of your relationship? Were you both entrepreneurial minded? Were you both that way inclined from the start, or was that something that sort of came afterwards?
Well, we actually had 2 other businesses, Shaun.
Oh, right.
We had one called Innate Health, which was clinics up the East Coast. And we also had another one called Sports Massage Oz, which was organising travelling sporting team services across the country. So were we always entrepreneurial? I'm not sure if I was entrepreneurial. I've never really been much about money. I'm not, as long as I've got a car that goes and a television that shows the footy on a Friday night, I'm not too fussed about that. So I'm just a busy person. And of course, it's very difficult to judge yourself. And I don't like doing that. I find it's very corny. But I've got my wife telling me what I'm like. So I've been a very, very, very busy person, and I have to fill up my time. I can't sit down and stare at stuff. I find that a waste. So I think just that if an opportunity arose, I just wanted to entertain it. And I've always had this attitude that let's entertain everything, even if it looks like a stupid idea to begin with. Going through the process of entertaining that means you learn the process of critically analysing something. You might meet some really cool people along the way. You learn the pros and cons of different aspects of businesses and business ideas. And from that, we've probably entertained hundreds, and we've taken on a few. And it was more to fill time, but to give me something to entertain myself while entertaining others. That's sort of, I'm not sure if you call it entrepreneurial. I think I've always had that attitude, just do something really, really well. And I tell my young therapist this. So don't worry about the money to begin with. If you worry about that, you won't last. You'll end up going back to school and becoming IT, or in Canberra, you leave and go to the government and make heaps of money there. But if you just love what you do, just sincerely love it, the money follows. The better you get, the supply and demand, and the money follows. So that's just been my attitude.
I think what you've described there is entrepreneurialism. Look for ideas and opportunities, explore them, entertain them, try to see opportunities within them, and then go for it. That's what entrepreneurship is. Renee, what about you? Do you think this? Are you someone who can't sit still as well? Like you have to be be something all the time?
Actually. I really like my relaxed time. I like my holidays. So I have to. Brad and I are both very opposite, very opposite. And he's go, and I'm a bit more slow pace. I take my time. Yeah, that's right. But it works really well. So I can tell him to slow down and he can tell me to hurry up. But yeah, it works really well. But I still really enjoy a project. I guess we both really enjoy projects, and that's something we've always done inside and outside the business. So we work on projects together, whether that be a business or a house renovation or a holiday or yeah. So we're always up for a challenging project.
Yeah, nice. Now, this is a question, it's a bit of a cliche one when it comes to couples in business, but the whole balancing work life, home life, again, coming from a personal perspective here, I do struggle switching off from work. I'll walk into the house and we'll have business conversations. I'd be quite happy having business conversations till we go to sleep at night and then start again first thing in the morning. But my wife doesn't appreciate that. That's to the same degree that I do. She's quite good at it, but not probably the same obsessiveness that I do. How do you guys balance that in your personal life? I know that your business can be all consuming, just like anyone's. When you come home, does that switch off, or do you have rules around that? How do you manage it?
I don't think we really have rules. It's just evolved in when we walk in the door at home, we don't really talk about business. I mean, business will come up, we'll discuss it, and then we'll get on with, doing what needs to be done at home because there's plenty of jobs to be done at home. We take good breaks on the weekends. We often go away, go camping, or really get away, go and see friends and family. So our time on the weekend is more our time. And then when we hit Monday morning, we always have a coffee together in the morning and chat about things. So that's our routine in the mornings. And then we're into it. And then the lists start and things happen and it's just go, go, go all week. But
there hasn't been any rules. We've never really sat down and said, let's do this and let's do that. Like if my mind I can be watching a show with Renee and my mind might be ticking in the background and going and going. And I mean, you've seen business owners, they're watching a movie while they're playing on the computer at the same time. You got the phone and you're checking your messages, but we haven't got any rules. And I think we've just organically just found a way. I'm a can't stop person. Renee's a loves to stop person, which is really good. If it wasn't for her, I'd be in a nut house somewhere. I wouldn't take a break. It's a stupid family trait of ours. But Renee's got this complete opposite. Renee and her four siblings have got this little company called the Relaxation Co. It's a virtual company. And they've all given themselves titles like I'm a CEO of the Relaxation Co. So I think that's where we work really well. It's Renee slows me down and makes me sharpen the saw and stops me from turning into a mental case. So it's been completely organic, Shaun. We haven't planned that part at all. I think Renee's personality, like everyone loves Renee. She cooks for everyone on Thursday at the clinic, and we have a massive get together. And every Thursday for 20 years, Renee's cooked. And she's a person that just loves to make people happy. She looks in the environment and says that person looks like they need a bit of a cheer up, gravitates towards that person. I'm the type of person that is a little bit more, come on, let's get going, guys. We've got stuff to do.
Let's get in the exercise room and let's get this going. Stop eating your own food. Come on, we've got work to do.
We've got stuff to do.
So Brad's the motivational one and really inspires people, inspires the staff and inspires a lot of people. So he's got a lot of energy, get up and go. And I love that about him. So yeah, we work really well together. Very different, but
there's been no planning.
Yeah, okay.
Been very organic.
Listening in, it sounds like there's a good balance between head and heart between the two of you. Like one person's there for the people, another person's there for the momentum, and it's sort of, and that's the juice that runs the engine. So that's great. That's really cool. In the early days, as you were establishing your role, so I guess now it's probably evolved multiple times since the beginning when it was initially Brad sort of establishing, running the clinic, Renee running the back end, behind the scenes, and now you've got MWAX. And you've also got multiple locations, which require probably more than just you, Brad, to run into all those locations at any one time. And does the team see you both as figureheads at this point in time?
Oh, yeah, that's a really good question. I don't know. It's a question you probably have to ask them. This concept of figurehead makes me feel awkward. I can't stand it, Shaun. I'm not a hierarchy person. I know they have to exist to a degree. That's why I never say people work for me, they work with me. It's just that sort of stuff. I I just saw I was part of Sports Medicine Australia as I was a president there in the ACT branch, and I've had roles where I was perceived as being the authoritarian figure, and I hated it. I liked being in that position where I could influence in the way I thought was the right way for the profession, being like head of the Olympics and that sort of stuff. But I don't like being perceived as that, because it's the thing I don't like myself. So
Yep.
it's a real difficult one. But do we get perceived as? I probably get perceived as the person that never shuts up and never stops and just keeps going and going and going. And I still love my research, and I think um, my consistency might annoy people at some stage, but I'm going to keep going. I think they see Renee as the nurturing. If someone's going to look after me, it's going to be Renee. If I need something done, it's going to take some time. I'm not going to Brad. I'll go to Renee. But there's also a lot of other people in the business that have taken on roles, just not forcefully. I've just allowed people to organically grow into parts of their character and personality that I've got right. That's they've got that innately. So let's use it. Let's see if they want to use it. Don't force anyone and let them grow in it. So it's an interesting question. Sure, I've never really thought about that myself. So I suppose you'd have to ask them, and I probably wouldn't want to know the answers.
Yeah, no, I liked your answer. I think the idea of people evolving into the roles that they're naturally born to make a lot of sense. We've done that with my business too. So my wife Gabby's we now call her the head of HR, human resource, because people naturally gravitate to her with their problems and concerns, and she has this strange ability to just listen and then they find a solution. And I can't figure that out because I just want to give people advice. But she's good at helping people find their own way.
We're male.
Yeah, that's right. I think it might be a male brain thing. Yeah, left brain, right brain.
Yeah.
And so people find their way into these roles, and it makes a lot of sense to do it that way. So that's great to hear. That's really good. Next question for you: when it comes to difficult decisions, and I'm sure, as like for example, when you guys created MWAX as a product to use within your clinics, you then saw an opportunity from the commercial side, like maybe we can market and sell this stuff, and it has become a successful brand, and we use it ourselves. It's great. When you come to things like, do we do this or don't we do this, or how do we solve this problem? Do we take this path or this path? How do you come to a decision as a team? Because you might sometimes, of course, have different opinions on how to approach things. What do you do when you do kind of see things differently?
We talk a lot.
Yeah, so communication's really key, I think.
Yeah, Renee doesn't like me being on a plane, because it means I have to sit still and I can't do things. And I generally come up with ideas, and I look at her and go, "Hey, Nay," she goes, "No, no more, stop it. That's enough." But seriously, we've come up with business ideas on planes all the time. But we'll sit there and talk about pros and cons sometimes for months. Hey,
they don't even really feel like a challenge. Like things come up and we just discuss it and we work through it. So
entertain the ideas and pros and cons, and
nut it out together and come to a result and move on. We move on pretty quick. I think we problem solve pretty quick.
We'll often go right through a business idea to almost to the point where you could pull a trigger and go and then not do it. But we like the concept of going right to that point to see if it potentially can work. I mean, I'm not talking about business ideas like starting a mining company or anything. It's a business idea of what's a bigger one? A location. All right. So Canberra, we really struggle for locations. It's not the best place. It's difficult. So what about this location? We'll go there 5 times or look at it and discuss it and go over it. And we generally don't, there's not one of us that makes a decision. We sort of slowly get to that decision. We start to feel our way. And Renee's often got a different point of view to me with regard to not a different point of view, yes or no. A different point of view is, what about this, this, and this? Like, oh yeah, good point. I didn't think about that. And so we complement each other. And again, it's been very organic. Our relationship's been like that since the start. So I don't think we've ever had a fight. We need to have a good fight though.
All right.
Yeah.
I'll plan it.
You start. Yeah. No, we've never, might take a deep breath once a year and that's about it. So again, I'd love to have a template, Shaun, so people could go, right, that's a good idea, but it's very organic. It just happens for us. So I suppose we're lucky in that situation.
It sounds like the solution there for you guys is just over communicate, like really just talk it out until the solution makes itself apparent. Would that be reasonable to say?
Yeah, and that takes time. So he needs to get off his computer, have a coffee with me. Let's talk it out, and yeah, solve the problems.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
some of the business ideas have taken years, Sean. It's like the MWAX, we started because I looked at one, the price of products, which was, I thought, oh, wow, that's very expensive. And two, back then, like I had long curly hair, but that's how long ago it was. There was hardly any products on the market. So we thought, stuff it, let's make our own. And as I've said before, how hard could it be?
And then that was a process of problem solving,
Yeah.
trialing
2 years of problem solving.
different ingredients. So it's, that's a problem solving game, and it's all problem solving really at the end of the day.
Yeah. And Renee will often come up with some really cool ideas and think, oh yeah, that's a cracker. Let's try that. When MWAX got to the point where I'd done all the sort of practical male things, sounds all crazy sexist, doesn't it? But it got to the point where I thought, I can't do the rest. I'm not good at this stuff. And that's when Renee took it over, and she's done a fantastic job. And I just couldn't do it. I look at the stuff she does and think, God, that looks good. That looks fantastic. And I have a crack. I'm terrible at it. I think we've just learnt each other's skills, and there's not one person has a better skill. It's just we just have different skills. And I think that's where it's worked really well.
So that's something I've found personally to be a real challenge in business. I think as someone who's been in business for a couple of decades or more myself, like when you start and run businesses, you develop this fairly high level of confidence in your ability to get things done, to see problems, overcome issues, find solutions, find your way forward, because you get this track record of, look, I've done this, this, and this, therefore I'm reasonably good at this. And then at a certain point, someone else comes along and has their input, and you realize, there's another way, or there's a different way, or actually maybe there's a better way. And as a business owner or leader, it can be difficult. It can be a bit of an ego check, I think, to get yourself out of the way sometimes and go, you know what, maybe my input here is probably not that useful. Maybe there's someone who could do this better. And it sounds like for MWAX, this might be where you guys have realized there might be a bit of a limitation in your own capacity to grow this business in a certain direction. Maybe I need to get out of the way and let Renee have a go at this, or maybe sometimes it's Renee, I think Brad's input here would be more valuable than mine, and you can kind of tic-tac back and forth a little bit between what's required. Does that sound reasonable?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We do that all the time. Like very early on, I'm from a farming background, and so is Renee. So it just means on the farm, if you're good at something, you do it. If you're not, you don't. It's someone else does it. And there's no fighting about it or any crap that goes on. It's just pragmatic. Let's do it. And that's the way I was brought up. And with Renee, I know what she's good at. She's so much better at me than some stuff, and I'm so much better at her than other stuff. And that you put those two things together, and Renee will come home and say, Brad, this needs to be done. And I'll just jump on and do it because I'm looking at something like Renee doesn't like the highly technical dot point stuff. And I'm fine. I like that sort of stuff. I like to learn how something works to the nth degree. So if something ever goes wrong, I know how to fix it, sort of thing. Whereas Renee's like, oh, damn that, and give that bit to Brad. Whereas I look and think, oh, that's going to take so much time, and it's probably going to take 8 hours to get a little simple outcome. And Renee loves that. She'll work her way through it to get a really good outcome. And I'm terrible. I get distracted and I have to walk away and do something else. So I think that the combination of those two things, and just understanding what each other's skill set is, and just having no qualms about it. Just if you're not good at something, who cares? Just focus on the stuff you are good at, and like all those great business books say, and if you go and find people that are better than you in all your different areas, and that will make you great business. I think that's where we've done well, and I don't care if Renee's better than me at something. That's bloody good. It's fantastic.
And we've also got the support of fantastic staff in the clinic, and people that I hire with MWAX to help me with certain things that are really good. They're really great at their job, that, technical things that I couldn't learn. So you need to call on other experts in the field to help you with things in business. There is a lot of us doing the leadership, but there's so many people behind the scenes that we call up on and give them an opportunity, giving other staff an opportunity to really step up into certain roles is really important. So, you know, we've got lots of great support behind us as well. Lots of great staff, lots of great people. So yeah, that's how it all works together.
Yeah. It takes a village to raise a family. It takes a village to run a business, I think, too, a lot of the time. That's great. Renee, I'm going to ask you just a little bit more about MWAX. I think this is a
Yeah.
really interesting business. And so you started doing something, or I noticed you doing something when we started using your product, which I thought was very, very smart. You don't see much of, and we've absolutely adopted it in our business as well, which is this personal note that you write with each delivery. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if that's still happening, but it's such a personal touch. And when we would get deliveries of MWAX for our courses and for clinic practice and things like that, it'd come in and say, "Hey, Shaun, hey, Gab, here's enjoy MWAX. Thanks very much for supporting our business. Love, Renee, Brad." And you'd sign off a little smiley face. And I think, is she doing that just for this order? And sure enough, every order that came in, they're there. And I thought, that is genius. Because how often do you get that from any business ever? It might have been something we saw decades ago fairly regularly, but now never. And we do that with our online clinic equipment business as well. Little handwritten note in every order, out it goes.
Yeah.
And people appreciate that. I think there's a human on the other side of that interaction that you realize exists, and that makes a big difference.
I think it's a way for me to connect with the clients as well.
Yeah.
Because MWAX is such an online business, I don't get to see these clients like at the clinic, walk in and have a chat. How you going? You know, how's your rehab going? I can't do that in MWAX. So it's a way for me to be able to chat to the clients.
It's a natural way, Shaun. It's just what she does. She does it with the next door neighbours. She does it with anyone she meets. It's just her way.
I don't even know how.
Good at it.
I don't know how.
I don't even think she thought about it.
Yeah. Also, I'm pretty grateful that I've got clients that I can sell product to as well. Really, you know. So yeah, it's just a way to say thank you for buying my product. So yeah.
It's just those small things, isn't it? You say you do it without thinking about it, but that's something that stuck in my head from the moment I saw it and adopted in my business as well, our business. So it's I think that people can take a lot from that. Like, what are the 4 or 5 small things that take you a few seconds to do that you could add to your daily activities that would make an impact on somebody else? And like you said, it could be sitting at the reception clinic, you know, as the person comes in and maybe checking their file and go, "Oh, what did we do last week? Oh, I wanted to check in on how you went with that prescription of XYZ that activity or exercise that I gave you last time. How's that going?" And an extra touch point, I think, makes a big difference in any business.
Yeah.
Renee will make people a cup of tea in the waiting room. She'll take their babies and take them for a little walk. Someone's sitting in the tea and coffee room. She'll go and have a chat to them about a topic she knows that they like. And she doesn't even know she's doing it. So if you ask her how she thought about it, she didn't think about it. It's just a natural way to make people happy. And I'm too busy. I want to do that. And it's on my mind to do it. But I've got 16 other things that's also on my mind as I walk down the hallway. I look and go, "Oh, Renee's got that covered. Cool."
Yeah.
It's the division of labor in the most appropriate way, isn't it? Like, who's going to be better at this? Let's get them to do that. And then so I can focus on something else, and then the business grows as a result. That's awesome. Can I ask you a couple of possibly difficult questions, I think, which I think some people find this one hard to answer. But if you were to pick the things that you like doing the least and the things that you like doing the most in your respective roles, what would that be?
The things I like doing the least, talking to Telstra at the clinic. And probably in the MWAX, it's probably cleaning up my mess after I've made the wax. But I've got a manufacturer making the products for me now, so that's not an issue. And my family get annoyed with me with all the mess I make and all the experiments I'm making with the new formulas. They're things I probably like the least. Things you like the most, enjoy the most?
Yeah.
Personal touch.
Oh yeah, I enjoy connecting with clients. Yeah, probably back to the last question we chatted about. Just connecting with clients, having a chat to them, asking them what they like in the clinic, in the MWAX. Yeah, that's probably me.
Feedback.
Yeah, getting feedback. Yeah.
Yeah, you find that the most rewarding part, that human interaction, yeah?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Yeah, unless it's a Telstra representative.
Yeah, and it's hard for an online business, for an e-commerce business to have that connection with people. So yeah, so that's a challenge, but I really do enjoy when I've sent out some free product to clients and said, what do you think about this? And they come back to me with some really great advice, and that only helps my business. So being able to connect with clients is yeah, really important to grow the business, but something I really enjoy doing. So
It's that generosity point too, I think, is another real differentiating factor for MWAX, and something I've certainly tried to use in my business over the years too, is just be a little bit more generous than people expect. Just that little bit more. It doesn't have to be a lot, but a little bit more than they expect makes a huge impact. And you guys support our courses with MWAX for our FRC courses, and you've sent us samples to try out things, and discounts and things for our students. And it's every one of those little things adds up to a point of differentiation for this brand versus another one. And Australian owned, and it's designed by clinicians for clinicians, and it's a home-based business, and it's Australian, all that sort of stuff. And so all of those little things plus generosity make it a very easy decision to go with MWAX for us, for at least, and I think for a lot of people as well. So yeah, the generosity, mate, I don't know whether you've done that intentionally, whether you set out to make that a key point, but it's certainly something that's shone through.
yeah, thanks, Shaun. That's lovely. Yeah, it's just evolved like that. And yeah, I just love what I'm doing, and I just really love getting the product out there. I really believe in it. We've been using it in our own clinic for 20 years, so I just want to get it out there to as many people as I can for them to use it in their clinic. So
Yep.
yeah.
Brad, least appreciated.
Oh, stuff I don't like, a Renee.
Okay. So you don't have to do anything you don't like, is that what you're saying?
No, yeah. Oh, the difficult part, I mean, when you talk about running a business, is that any business owner, if you get a group of 10 business owners on and do a podcast, all you'll hear is groans and moans, unless you got to pull them back and say, oh, let's talk about the good stuff. Because again, honestly, the stuff that was really difficult when we first started, we had 2 small kids when we first started the business. That was a dumb idea. So we were so busy, and then we decided to have a third one just to make it even busier. So when you're trying to run the business, you're treating all day long, and you finish the day and you've got 15 dot points you have to do, and you think, oh, when am I going to do these? I'm going to stay here at 9 o'clock at night, or what do I do? So it was trying to figure out how much Renee could do with the kids. And then when I get home and give her a break, it's all right, come in, you little rat bags, let's go. And just trying to juggle that initially, is that stuff in the background that for me, I knew had to be done. I knew was important, but I thought, oh, this is such superfluous bloody stuff. I'm trying to get this business up and going, and I don't want to spend 3 hours filling out a form for high caps or something. This is killing me. I've got so much more time I could do, one of these things I could do with that time. So that always annoyed me. And of course, HR is difficult. When you got 30 sort of staff-ish, got some unbelievably good staff, and then you got staff that have problems. They might have ups and downs, and if you've got one staff member that's having a down, like I struggle with people that are struggling. Not when I say I struggle, I can't stop thinking about them. Because I'm like, oh, what can I do? What can I do? What can I do? And it runs around my bloody head for hours. I'll be treating, and I'm preoccupied thinking, I hope X is doing well. What can I do to help X? And sometimes you can't do anything. So that worries me. And I'm not sure that's a good or a bad point. It's not something I don't like doing, but it can wear me down worrying about other people. And because I know the few things I wrote down when I left the AIS was things that I was never going to do to other people, thinking, I can't believe they did that to me. I was this young, bright kid that had so much energy, and I wanted to learn, and I was just put in this little box and told not to get out of it. And I thought, I can't do that to anyone ever again. If you've got someone that's willing to learn and it's going to go off in particular directions and grow, I wanted to make sure that I created that opportunity. And if I ever stopped them, I'd slap myself. So if there was an opportunity there, I really wanted to explore it for them and try to create as much as I possibly could. I love that part of my job. That's the trading. I love it, and I thought I'd get sick of it, but I don't. And I'm enjoying it even more. But by far my favorite part of the job, and I'll do it for the rest of my life, is mentoring. I absolutely love it. If someone wants to learn or wants help, I love connecting them with people that can get them there, fast track them. I really, really enjoy it. That's why I love what you guys are doing with ACE. The fact that Bo there is a bit of a concern for you, but I think he's going okay.
He's coming along. He's coming along, yeah.
All right. Throw that in, Bo. But it's that stuff in the background that when you're on a business that no one sees that really annoys me. You think, I've got to spend 2 hours doing this rubbish. Come on, government, figure this out for us. We're busy here. We're busy trying to grow a business, and you're throwing all these. Every year, there's 5 more laws that we have to abide by, and Fair Work throws us another 5 things that we have to add to a contract, and yeah, that can get you down.
Yeah, sure. There's some good points there. I think a lot of people can take away from that, and it's not the things that people would expect, I think, that are going to be the things that you like or dislike. It's neither of you mentioned money in any of that. Like, money is a big concern for a lot of people in the business, whether it's like we don't have enough to pay the bills, we don't have enough to grow, we don't have enough. That's not a concern for you two guys. Like, obviously, those you said earlier on, those things take care of themselves when you're doing what you love. The things that matter to you and that you either really dislike or really like seems to be that the tedious paperwork side of things, the tedium, or the people. That's the bit that you love, and connecting with people, working with them, or helping them in various different ways. So that's a nice thing, I think, for people to hear and maybe to change their focus too. Being business owners of 2 different brands now, 2 different concerns, and having a family and a fairly big staff team of people, 30 plus people to look after, there's a lot of weight on your collective shoulders there to carry around from day to day. How do you go with that? I'm sure there's times where things get difficult, again, financially, or maybe a lot of decisions come in at the same time, or maybe there's a lot of hurdles to jump over at a particular time, and the weight of that can get quite heavy. Things can go wrong, staff can leave, multiple staff can leave at the same time, leaving big gaps in your appointment calendar. How do you deal with the collective weight of all of that as a team, while still trying to do what you need to do, which is motivate people, keep them up, keep them moving forward, making people not worry about the things that might be going on wrong in the background? How do you manage that?
Oh, look, I just think we have a really good routine in our week. I think we have times where we really just are away from the business, and then we're relaxed and not thinking about business, and then we get into the business and it's all business. So yeah, I just think and then back to communication when there's challenges, both Brad and I think these themes keep coming up all the time, but it's just what really works for us. It's that we have a really good routine, we work well together, strengths and weaknesses of each other, and then communication, and then we just.
I think for me, like I would just work all week, and it's your greatest strength is your greatest weakness. So Renee, for instance, the favourite part of my week is I start early on Friday mornings and then have a break at about 10:15, 10:30. And we always have coffee every single Friday. And it was our time to go and sit and chat, because our kids are a bit older now. So when we got home, we had no time with each other. It was just all the kids and running around to sport and not seeing each other for 16 weekends a row of sport. But we used to twice a week, we used to go to a coffee shop, and we used to sit, relax, have a cup of coffee, and just talk rubbish. And it was great. And I wouldn't do that. I think I look and go, that's a waste of time. But Renee's taught me over the years that that's not a waste of time. That's the best thing you could do. It's just to sit and relax and defrag for that 45 minutes, an hour. And if it wasn't for Renee, as I said, I'd be a mental case. So she's taught me to relax and take that time. She's really good at it. With regard to the stress stuff, yeah, Renee doesn't do stress well. I'll do the stressy part. And yeah, Shaun, like any business owner, gee whiz, you go to bed some nights and you're thinking, whoa, geez, this is a tough one. And you just go over it and over it and over it and over it and over it. And I'll tend to sit there and draw pictures in my mind on the pros and the cons and the possibilities and how I go about this. And that business has been relatively smooth sailing, but yeah, there was a time there we didn't pay each other for 4 months.
That's right. Yeah. And most of the time, there's problems that come up in business all the time, and we seem to solve them pretty well. But there has been some big things that have happened in the last 20 years also, with when COVID came around, and we really had to fighting to sort of get some clients through the door, and then close the doors and then open the doors, and then but we wanted to pay staff, and some staff wanted to work. Some of them got in their car and just took off. So that was a challenging time. We've had Brad's mum, who had an accident about 10 years ago, and she's quadriplegic, and that was a very challenging time for us. So, they're big things that we have to tackle. Both Brad and I do them together, and we're, again, a team of people behind us and a great family. So we have lots of little challenges through the week, and then we've had some doozies in the last 20 years. But I think it's just made us stronger. And we've just, if there's a big challenge that happens, we just talk about it, put our heads down. All right, what are we going to do? We have to get through this. But having the support of friends and family and each other is what's really helped the business and helped us personally in business and in our personal lives. Yeah.
Sounds like neither of you sort of take each other too seriously, but at the same time, you don't take things personally. Like you can see in the conversation, you're very comfortable sort of pointing at each other's strengths and weaknesses, and neither of you seem to react to that. That's a real strength, and I think a pretty rare one in a lot of relationships, to not be too reactive to things, but also to one another. That's a real strength, I think.
Oh, it's been huge, man. Like the COVID thing wasn't that an experience to learn the pros, cons, and otherwise of everyone in your family, your friends, your business, and you saw people who really stood up and went, you think, wow, I didn't know they had that in them. You think, if I go to war, I'm standing next to you. And other people really struggled. So I'm not going to sit here and say like I'm a block of concrete that can get through that stuff. You'd have to be a sociopath to be that. But oh man, that was tough. You just get home, and sometimes you're up till, for many nights, 2 o'clock in the morning. And during that process, it was the government was throwing you stuff every day. Like, if you want to stay open, you have to do this. And Renee and I are sitting there, it's 12 o'clock, on Wednesday night, and we're still going because we've got 1,000 forms to fill in. And that's one, it's tough to get through all that because it's so arduous. And sometimes you go to the business, and if you're having a weak moment, you want to yell out, do you guys realize how much we're doing? Do you know how hard we're working? But that'd be pathetic, and you can't do that. You've just got to go there with a smile on your face and be the most optimistic person you can. I genuinely am. People see hurdles and run away from them. I see a hurdle and run at them. People say, "Oh, you can't do that." And I think, "No, rubbish. You can do that. You can do that." And that happens all the time. But I suppose that one of the real difficult parts is when you've got something happening in your personal life, like with my mum, when she was badly injured, and so you think, "Wow, I have to give so much attention there." Obviously, so it diminishes what you can do with your business and the problem solving with your business.
Yep.
And or when you're sick. So I mean, I've had a few times when something's happened to me. I'm like, "Oh God, I'm too busy for this, body. Could you please get over what you?" So you're going to work and you're really tired, or you're sore, or you're sick, and you have to put that aside. You can't go there as the whingy business owner that please feel sorry for me. You just can't do that. It's pathetic. So especially when people often look to you, and this is what Renee said to me, because I don't think people look to me. I find that really peculiar and weird. But Renee says, people do, Brad. You got to understand people do. I'm like, do they really? So then, of course, I think, also, every time I walk in, if something just bad's happened, I can't walk into work and take that to work. And I'd be a liar to say that doesn't wear you down. You can get so tired sometimes. And did you get home Friday night, and you can hardly hold your head up mentally. So I think that's where having a partner, a business partner who's your spouse is huge. Because I'll get home and Ray looks at me and goes, "Ooh," and but she knows that I'm knackered, so she will do all these other things for me,
Yep.
and just to help me get through that day. And I don't even have to ask. And she's the same. If she's got something going, I think
He's in the business doing the hard yards. He's there, and you're coming up against all these challenges. I think that's the least I can do to help Brad out and in the home space. So
Definitely a team, isn't it? Yeah. Yep. I saw a speaker once talking about this, where with her and her husband, she was a author and speaker, and she's talking about how they manage their relationship and dynamic in business, but also at home. And either one of them have the ability to say to the other, "Today, I'm at a 30 out of 100," and the other one immediately knows what that means for them. They have to make up the other 70% or whatever percentage it is for them. And there's no conversation needed. The other one will go, "Say, I'm a 90. What do you got?" "I'm a 40. Cool, I got you." Right?
well,
Off they go.
right.
And
Yeah.
that's no conversation required. It's just a number, and the other person responds accordingly. And I thought, that's smart. That's efficient, and it's a nice way of operating. Yeah. So I think it sounds like that's what you guys are doing anyway. Maybe just by looking at each other and picking up the cues.
Well, we do. I was saying that I can look at Renee and just look at her demeanor and think, "Nah, I'll do that today."
Don't even ask. Yep.
Yeah, I think Renee taught me that very early on in our relationship, where she was so brutally honest, which I wasn't used to. I thought, "Whoa, wow, what is this thing called, this honesty stuff?" And also her ability to just give all the time. Even when she was tired, I always said to people, "May take the food out of her mouth and give it to the devil, and then ask the devil it was okay." And she did this without even trying. She's done it all her life. So it's when it came to me really struggling with the business with regard to being exhausted or tired or frustrated, or things happen in business. And I remember something really terrible happened, and I was talking to, generally what I do is I go search for the person that knows most about that topic and just go and talk to them and learn. I just like learning. And I've always had the saying, you never know what good comes from bad. And how true has that been, though? So like a lot of bad things happen. I was like, well, something good's going to happen here. I'm not sure what it's going to be. And it always has. And so I'll go off and search and find the person that can help me the most. And then learn and just try and get through whatever that is. And I know I've got home, and Renee knows I'm going through it. And she knows it's probably not an area that she enjoys or has knowledge on. But there'll be 1,000 other things that I would usually do at home, wherever it is that she's done. So there's no questions asked. And I don't sit there and give her the thumbs up and things dull. It's just I got your back. So it's that old farm thing. The tree falls down on your neighbour's fence. You just cut the tree up. You don't ring up a neighbour and go, "Hey mate, I've cut your tree down. That's $110. It's just, you just get it done and you go on. So I think that's where we've innately worked very, very well.
Right. There's some key personality traits in there I think are important. I once heard this saying that anyone who goes into business is like being a gladiator, this blood sport where eventually everyone kind of dies, but the longer you stay in the sport, the closer you get to the chance that you're going to die. So the longer you're playing the game for, the more likely you are to die. It's like, why would anybody do this to themselves? Why would anybody start a business when you know that the longer you play for, the harder it gets, the odds get tighter and tighter and tighter. And I think there's some personality traits in there that make you maybe a little bit sociopathic. You've used that word a few times today, Brad, but it takes a little bit of that, I think, and that sort of unreasonable optimism to be able to succeed. And you need to be a little bit unreasonable in a lot of ways, I think, to be good at this. If you were both to throw a few personality traits out there that you think would be useful for someone who's maybe going to start a business or considering starting a business or wanting to grow their business, what do you think are those key personality traits that people need? What are the ingredients in that recipe?
ADHD.
Answer that. So,
undiagnosed, but he's a very busy man. Yeah. But I think passion and a passion for what you do, number one. You want to feel inspired because there's going to be a lot of hard times. So you're going to need that inspiration and that passion to keep you going. So
I think the passion, you've got to be super passionate. And with our three kids, like I don't care what they do, as long as they're passionate about it. Just don't go into something half-hearted. I don't care if it's knitting. Just do it flat out and be the best knitter you can be. It doesn't have to be the best knitter in the world, but just be the best you can be. Use your skills. You're here once, have a crack. And so that you've got to be passionate, number one. I think two, you've got to be a good communicator. And if you're not a good communicator verbally, just be a lot of communicator. Just communicate a lot until you eventually get your point across. It'd be lovely to be born with grammatical eloquence, where everything that popped out of your head sound like a poem. You've got to communicate. I think you've got to have how would you say? Like Renee and I sit there and talk about what could happen. So we one of our business mottos when we first started was, if someone asks us a question, we've failed to give them the answer. So we tried to look for, like, what could they possibly ask us? What could it be? From a therapist point of view, from a authority point of view, from a client point of view, is that what could they ask us? And we try to have it there. And every once in a while, someone asks a question, we think, oh, we didn't think about that. And you'd write it down and you'd try to have it all there ready to go. So bringing that concept of bringing all these people when you first start a business and you have a good account and have a good this, that's the biggest lot of rubbish. Like that'd be fantastic if your mum and dad gave you $500,000 to start a business. When we first started the business, and I've got a photo of this, we had $8 in the bank account. We couldn't bring in anyone. So we were doing it all ourselves. So you've got to have the ability to sit there and think, how does a bookkeeper work? And if you can't afford one, you have to go and learn how to do it yourself. So you have to have the ability to sit there and think, all right, what aspects does a business need? What can I do? What don't I know how to do, and how am I going to learn that? So you have to have that ability to just go and sit and learn. When we first started the business, we went to the Canberra Business Council, which was it was so useless. It was a small office with about 1,000 pamphlets, and we walked in, there was no one there. That was first point, which wasn't very helpful. And then eventually when the bloke came back, this is fair income, he gave us 2 pamphlets on how to run a business, because we were trying to do everything the right way. I didn't know what the right way was. That internet thing wasn't really kicking off back then. There was no books. There was, this sounds crazy, but I thought that Fair Work way back then was a union. It sounds ridiculous saying that now, but we used to know where the hell came from. So we fudged and fumbled, and like, I'm a bit of a goody two-shoes. I don't like doing things it's my dad's trait, do everything the right way. But to try and find the right way was difficult. So you have to have the ability to sit and learn. And now it's a lot easier. You can YouTube the damn thing. You've got mentors everywhere. So I think that part, you've got to have a lot of energy. You've got to be super passionate. It's like if I'm looking to employ someone, I look at them and think, how much passion they got. I don't care about their skill set. You can teach a skill set. You can't teach passion. They've either got it or not. And that passion, you look and think, they might be green, they might be crazy, they might be running around in 4 different directions, but you can do something with that. You can't do anything with someone who's just dormant and sitting there and not really that enthusiastic. And the more passionate they are, the better they eventually will be, and the more crazy and exciting their career will become. And that excites me, to watch someone, even when they leave, you think, oh, they're leaving. Oh, that's breaking my heart. It's like one of your kids leaving. But they're going off and doing some amazing things, starting their own clinics. And look at Bo, like when he left, like, oh, Bo, don't leave, you mongrel. But you could tell he had so much energy. He was going to do something great. And now he's got you, mate. You have to.
Poor thing. You touched on a good point there. I think about, especially early days, no money, no resources, have to do everything yourself. Every function in the business relies on you to figure it out. And I've heard it said that, to run a successful business, you have to be good enough in every possible role, good enough to be dangerous in every role. Like to know if you're going to hire someone to come in and do your marketing, to know whether or not they're doing a good job, because you've done it. You've done it to a degree, and you can sort of see, actually, no, I don't like that. or whether it be the HR side of things or the account keeping or the clinic management or whatever it might be, you've been in that role at some point, and you know what good looks like. And when you pay somebody money to do it and they're not doing what good looks like, you can make a decision quickly and pivot and change direction. I think that's really valuable.
Yeah, and I'm pretty big on the industry itself. Somehow, I don't know how this works, but creating a template for young business owners, because I'm pretty bullish on the industry. So getting out of that third bedroom and creating more clinics. I think that for the industry itself, it looks much more professional. We get perceived as being more professional. I know people are going to have their opinions on that, but that's the way I look at it.
Mhm.
Plus, for me, if you're coming straight out of a TAFE somewhere, you'll get the odd person that's mature enough and has got enough go on them and understanding and maybe some help to start their own business. But a lot of people don't. And I think we lose some really, really good people to other professions maybe, or they just failing what they're doing because they didn't have someone to look after them, to mentor them. So they can come straight out of a TAFE and go, got a few options here. Look at that clinic. So I can go to that clinic and I can learn and learn and learn and learn and learn and learn at not a hasty pace, but a much quicker pace. And I've seen that all the time with our therapists saying, I even after like a couple of years, they say, I still think I've got so much to learn. Then I'll meet someone that they went through school with, and I'll come back saying, oh, Brad, wow, gee, I felt really sorry for him. I didn't realize how much I'd learned. This person's still trying to figure out what a trigger point is. And I think that's an opportunity the the industry needs to do better. So for me, if you could create a template for business, it's such a simplistic word, but is that I've said to Renee a few years ago, we put ourselves through a review. So we did a review on ourselves, plus we got Massage and Myo with their certificate program to come out and do a review on us. Because I just wanted to know what we weren't doing. And I thought this would be a great opportunity to create a whole lot of policies, a big template of what is absolutely necessary. Because there's no PDF file for that. You can't jump on it. Well, there's 17 government websites that I know of that I have to abide by. 17. And some of them conflict. You think, well, hold on, you're saying this. Which one do I? So when you go into business, you got to look up 17. You got to know that there's 17. You got to know where they are. You got to decipher all the crap that's in between. And that to me is overwhelming for a lot of people. When they fumble, I make mistakes inadvertently. And some of the errors you can make are not like naughty boy. They can be, here's a $30,000 fine. You think, what did I do wrong? So these people are making mistakes without knowing. Contract law, employment law, bloody hell, it's crazy. And Fair Work aren't helping. I've got an account with Fair Work, so that just puts a big target on your back. But I thought, no, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this because I really want to know if I'm doing something wrong. So I'll throw them questions after questions after questions. Sometimes I get two different answers back, and I go, guys, come on, which one is it? Everything's recorded on that thing. We had a template so people would go, all right, so these are the 58 policies we need. And in fact, some of the policies I've just given the whole lot to people who've left, or some people going, I don't know what to do here. I think, look, just have my policies. How much? Oh, yeah, nothing. I don't care. I prefer you just have them. So we've got another business that has all those policies, so potentially they can pass them on. We get more businesses out of this. I think we need to. I said I have crazy ideas all the time, and Renee gets scared. But I'd be really happy. This was one of my crazy ideas the other day. This is my stupid idea, Shaun, that I have on a daily basis. Imagine if we had a group within our profession, I don't know, 10 people. They're all willing to put in some investment into a little business that was not for profit. And if someone wanted to start a business and said, look, this is my business proposal in Darwin, I think I can really get this done. We look at it and go, this is great. Here's 30 grand that you'll pay back in 5% of every treatment you do. So you can do it as your business grows. So we can mentor them, not for profit sort of stuff. So we got another business. I mean, that was my silly business idea as I drove home from work the other day. I should have just been listening to Triple J and some crap on Triple J. To me, that part of business was really difficult because we've had to create our own list and our own template, and the bloody thing keeps growing and it's huge. WHS, the amount of policies that you have to have on your website by law that I didn't know. In Canberra, you've got to have a dry needling license that you have to get renewed every year. And I found that out through trial and error. I just found on a website and thinking, do we really? And when I rang them up, they said, you haven't got one. I said, I didn't even know you guys existed until this morning. And I said, the AIS doesn't have one. Oh, yes, they would. I said, no, they don't, because I just rang the nurse and she said, don't have one. So it's finding stuff like that if you could give that whole template, and then the potential business owner could work through it and go, I can do 6 of these 42 things, but I really need help with these others. And I think that's where I don't know who does it, the association is for help us grow through. Like you've done it, Shaun. It's bloody hard. You make mistakes all the time without even knowing you make a mistake.
Absolutely. I think you're talking about a private equity investment type,
Yeah.
fund. And I think, look, I've seen other people do this in other industries where they'll take their pooled knowledge and experience, find other businesses in the same space, invest money, support them, and then they both benefit. I think there's probably a model for that, Brad. You might not be as silly as you sound sometimes. That's there's something there.
Talk to you later, Shaun.
Yeah, okay, we'll have a chat offline. Last question for you guys, and this is one for both of you to maybe sort of throw back and forth. If we could wind back the clock 20 plus years ago, Brad's obviously going to have longer, more luscious hair. Renee probably have less stress through the many years that she spent with Brad over that time. If you could wind back the clock, what decisions would you each make differently, or what advice would you give yourselves before Clinic 88 and MWAX kicked off at this point in time?
Oh, I don't even know. What advice would we give ourselves?
Have a really good partner like Renee. It's a
Good answer.
It's a good. We're talking about this a couple of times. I don't think we make too many different decisions. I think what we did, which might be a bit different to others, is we made a lot of decisions and we trialed a lot of stuff with the knowledge that might not work. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that was a good thing. Like we had innate health businesses right up the East Coast thinking, is this going to work? Geez, we learned a lot from that. With the sports massage business, we've trialed a lot of other businesses as well. And I think it's going through the knowledge of how much, and I'm good with numbers, so I can sit there and go, how much is it going to cost? If it doesn't work, how much are we going to lose? And try to think, some of you go, oh, that's too much of a loss. And then we'll sit and we'll chat for hours and hours about it. I don't know if we change a whole lot. I've often said if I know what I know now, I probably wouldn't start the business because I didn't realize how much risk I was putting myself through because I just didn't have the knowledge. And sometimes not having that knowledge, and there's a lot of sayings that it goes, ignorance is bliss, is if I hadn't known all the risks that were involved in business, I probably wouldn't have done it. So I think that was a blessing in disguise. What else now? What would you change?
Just thinking about it now, maybe time. Having 3 kids under 4 and the business being very young, that was quite challenging. I mean, I wouldn't change it, but if I could go back, I'd probably slow down that process a bit more so I could help Brad in the business. But we worked it out. We've just pushed through and figured it out. So,
mentors, like Shaun, if you've got the ability to find a mentor or mentors, then don't hesitate in doing that. And there's a lot more opportunity for that now with the online stuff. And back then, we didn't have hardly anyone, and we were fumbling around. So it's different now. So if I started a business now and I was very naive like I was, I'd probably go and search for people that could help me out a little bit more and talk to other businesses and where have you succeeded, where have you struggled, and probably look to fast track that organic learning, which can be arduous, difficult, and dangerous.
There's some business breakfast sort of groups that get around in different states. I think there really wasn't anything available 20 years ago, but I don't even know, I've been to a few of them in Canberra, just on the MWAC side of things, and those groups allow you to connect with other people like that are into marketing, or they're lawyers, or they've got, you know, all this expertise. And going to a morning breakfast, which takes you about an hour and a half before work, I think if I had that 20 years ago, would have been helpful. But I know I've been to a couple of them in Canberra, and they're women's breakfast groups, which is handy. And it is an e-commerce sort of more of a treatment lubricant is there's a lot of people doing those sorts of e-commerce businesses in these women's groups, so they're able to sort of support me. So yeah, probably get yourself out there to some of those breakfasts, which when you're running a business, you really don't have time, and you're like, should I do it? Should I go this whole hour to do some marketing or make something? But I really think it's worthwhile connecting with people in your community that you can flesh out some ideas with, and or get a great bookkeeper, lawyer, someone to help you. So I've done that with my website. I've been able to find a fantastic girl to help me with my website, and that was just a local breakfast meeting that took an hour. So I'd probably do that again.
Yeah, it's forming relationships. Like I love communicating. I love bringing groups together, people together. I really enjoy that. I think when we started the clinic, I wasn't a stranger to the community. So I was on the Sportsman Australia board for, I think it was 17 years all up, and I was 3 years president. So it was sometimes the meetings you think, oh, why am I doing this? But then you get there and you think, oh, this is why. Because there's 2 sports docs, there's a sports physician, there's a bunch of physios, there's a podiatrist, and you're there with them, learning about them and having a great conversation. And of course, then it flows onto business. So it's sometimes you need to, and I wouldn't change it, and I'd implore people to do that now, is get out there into the committees and the boards, and a lot of times I would have tried things and think, well, I really didn't get a lot from that, but I got enough. And I've always said to people, like, people go, should I do that workshop? And I said, look, even if you learn what not to do, you still learn something. You'll always learn something, always. But if you sit at home and watch Netflix, you're not going to learn anything. So get out there, get involved, running communities, yoga communities. Even if you go and sit in meetings, you think, oh, this is not my area at all. And if they ask you, what are you doing here? That's not a threat. That's an opportunity. You've got that great old SWOT analysis of strengths, weaknesses, and opportunities and threats. And a lot of people see those things as threats. I just see them as opportunities. That's why having the name Clinic 88, which has got a whole long-winded, boring story, but people said, why Clinic 88? And I smiled and went, exactly.
Exactly. That's a question.
Yeah. So if they ask you a question, they're thinking about you. So I think you've got to make yourself relevant.
Mm-hmm.
And because if people don't know you exist, then you're not going to get anything. You've got to be somehow relevant.
That's it at the table. Yeah. That's good advice from both of you. Thank you. Brad, Renee, thank you so much for your time today. I think there's a lot of people listening to this will have taken away many things, many different points and key learnings from this, regardless of where they are in their journey of business creation, evolution, growth, or just working for somebody else and maybe thinking about doing something for themselves down the track. And I think a lot of people get stuck up on this idea of, I don't plan to run a business, I just want to work for somebody else. Well, if you're working for somebody else, you're still developing your personal brand, your professional brand within that clinic, which is a business in itself in a lot of ways. Growing a brand and growing a business have a lot in common. So I think whether you work for someone else or work for yourself, these kinds of conversations are always going to be valuable. So thank you both for your time.
Thanks, Shaun.
Thanks for the opportunity, mate.
Thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll see you on the next one.